Hello again, dear participants. Today's last session will be chaired by Professor Reşat Apak from Istanbul University, and the first presentation is Nana Bolashvili from Georgia, and I would like to take a ground for Apak to present Nana Bolashvili, Professor Nana Bolashvili. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. The first speaker is Dr. Bolashvili Nana, Doctor of Geography, Director of the Institute of Geography at Ayvan Jasvili Tiflis State University. The major activities: Director of the Institute of Geography at Tiflis State University, Deputy Director of Institute of Geography, Senior Scientist of the Institute of Geography, and between 2002 and 2008, teacher, British School of Academic. The research activities, there are various activities. I will not go into the details. Honors and awards. In 2007, Vice President, Georgian Geographical Society, and 2010, until present time, UNCC.
Thank you.
15 minutes.
Thank you. No. First of all, I would like to express my sympathies to this wonderful country and people for TÜBA, IAP, and special to it. The title of my presentation is The Problems of Water Management in Accordance with the Current Climate Change. Deficiency of fresh water is one of the greatest global problems. At present, about 40% of the Earth's population conflicts with each other because of water resources. And against the background of the contemporary strained ecological situation, global warming of the climate, and progressive process of desertification all over the world, the worsening of a problem of deficiency of water resources is expected. Desertification has serious implications for biodiversity, eco-safety, socio-economic stability, and sustainable development. What's the impact of desertification? Drylands are already fragile. As they become degraded, the impact of people, livestock, and environment can be devastated. Some 50 million people may be displaced within the next 10 years as a result of desertification. The message of UNCCD third scientific conference and fourth special session of the Committee on Science and Technology is the human actions are a key driver of desertification, land degradation, and drought, and a contributor to climate change. Therefore, society must mitigate or reverse these stresses using innovative approaches to attain land degradation neutrality. So, what can be done? Among some recommendations, one of these is the water management. On this slide, you can see the map of Georgia. Here is shown the distribution of arid, semi-arid, and semi-humid landscapes. Because of, according to the UNCCD definition, the land degradation and desertification means land degradation in arid, semi-arid, and semi-humid territories. The area of country is not, Georgia is not big country. The area is about 70,000 square kilometers, and its population is 4.5 million. And you can see these sensitive landscapes are distributed only in the eastern part of the country. And these landscapes are occupy about 20,000 square kilometers. It's about 1/3 of the country's total area. And these landscapes and these areas are trends to desertification. During this research, we created some digital thematic maps, and you can see here the annual precipitation. And here also shows that the precipitation in the eastern part of country is very low. Near to Turkey, the Batumi city, there is a maximum precipitation. It's about 4,500 millimeters in year, and it's the maximum not only in Georgia but in whole Europe. And on this part, on the eastern part, southeastern part of country, we have the minimum precipitation. It's about less than 400 in a year. Also, we created the thematic map of distribution of aridity index. Because of this distribution of this index shows the vulnerable areas and areas trend to desertification. Also, wind speed and direction, because of wind is very important. It's causing the wind erosion. And the next map is washout of soils from the arable lands. On the background of current climate change, for mitigation and adaptation, the mentioned process, one of the real active measures is to move to manageable water consumption for purposes of rational use of water resources. It's of improper use, it may become entirely useless. Any earthwork, cutting or planting of forests and windbreaks are directly connected with the change of territory water balance structure. In the whole world and in Georgia as well, arises the necessity of exact estimation of the amount of water resources in order to arrange the efficient freshwater management and supply system and its proper use. Georgia is rich in freshwater resources. According to the average height of water layer, Georgia follows Norway, Switzerland, and Austria among the European countries, but among our neighbor countries and in region, you can see Armenia, Azerbaijan, Iran, Iraq, Turkey, France. Georgia is the richest in freshwater resources. The total volume of freshwater resources Georgia is about 100 cubic meters, and from there is 66 cubic meters is surface water. But despite the riches in water resources, there is a significant imbalance between in different regions of Georgia. You can see on the west side is the abundance of water resources, and the east we have lack of water. The problem of water supply is very acute in the eastern part of country. In the conditions of approximately equal area of western and eastern Georgia and the same number of population, in terms of per capita is in the west about 18,000 cubic meter of water, and in the east 5,000 cubic meter per year. It's about 4 times less water. For this current study, we choose the southeast part of country. It's called the Kakheti region. Why we use this region? Because of this region is rich in fertile lands and pasture lands. Also, it is country's leading viticulture region. It's notable for its deficit of water, and also this region trends to desertification, which aggravate water problem and may lead to migration of local population from the area. And also, water resources in this region used irrationally. During Soviet time, nearly 90% of Soviet wine were produced directly on this region, in Kakheti region. And according to the forecast, at the end of the 21st century, in the southern part of this region, it's expected decrease of hydrothermal coefficient from 1.1 to 0.7, which will shift the region's climate from subtropics into very dry category. We calculated water demand and water deficit with for different plants. Here represents only wheat and pasture lands, and you can see the 2001-2005, and the forecast for 2071-2100 years. And you can see the increases the water demand and water deficits also. Our purpose, as I mentioned, was creation geographical information system, GIS, of Kakheti water resources, which will be used in future as a basis of sustainable water management. The project carried out with the software of ArcGIS. During the research, inventoried all water objects, springs, rivers, lakes, reservoirs, irrigation schemes, collected all morphometric and hydrometeorological information and converted to digital format. Also collected and digitalized demographic data such as population, its density, urban and rural population, and data on land use. The basis was the topographic map of this region. The scale is 200,000. After modification of the GIS basis and establishment of database structure, the above-mentioned information downloaded into the system and created different thematic maps, different digital thematic maps. On this slide is shown the hydrological map. Here is the rivers, a network of rivers and irrigational schemes. As I mentioned, we downloaded, we digitalized all information, and you can have just have a look for all this information. I will also only note that it is very difficult to create these databases, but if you have these databases, then it's easy to manage this problem. It's easy to make many scenarios because of if you change one number in this table, the situation is simultaneously changed on the digital maps. And for example, you can change the number of population of cities or villages or a whole region, and you can see this on the map, and you can make decision this the water resources of this region will be enough for this population or not. And also the same is possible to do regarding to the crops. The development of the national economy requires the proper use of land and water resources, and it's especially true in dry and semi-dry regions where, due to the hard national conditions, the water is essential for harvesting. This project, the study is ongoing. At this stage, we mainly focused on water use and requirements for irrigation. Here you can see the areas of the whole registered areas of this region, and this is irrigable area, and you can see the actually irrigated areas. So we have areas which needs to irrigate. You have just a quick look for this current situation of Georgia's irrigation systems, the condition of these irrigation systems. You can see. All irrigation systems, as you see, need cleaning. Majority of channels have unaccomplished ground beds. There are abundant channels and wells in many places. In addition, there is no data of the detailed survey of the landscape of the irrigation areas, which is necessary for the selection of optimal configuration of channel contours. All of this leads to expand the excess water consumption and irrigation inequality, has the negative impact on land amelioration state. However, as a result of unsystematic irrigation farming, often operation in violation of norms, the type of anthropogenic erosion occurs, irrigation erosion. As a result, Georgia lost 5 million cubic meters soil annually. From 65 to 70% of total water losses are stipulated by filtration, 20 to 30% by technical losses, and 3 to 6% by evaporation from the water surface. Almost all irrigation systems require complex reconstruction, capital planning, water availability, development, arrangement of internal irrigation systems, and etc. The next stage of our project is foreseen to be calculation and mapping of the territory provision with water, calculation and mapping of the maximum possible number of population for different water use standards, determining and mapping of vulnerable territories according to the water resources. After 1 year our researching, we elaborated some recommendations. I will save our time and just will read us only 2 recommendations. The main recommendation is to cleaning of irrigation systems, rewetment of the ground beds of channels, conduction of training, irrigation technologies and techniques, keeping irrigation norms and terms of separate regions in accordance with the zones and needs for agricultural crops. And at the last, the conclusion is that the present condition of irrigation systems and increase in water demand on irrigation makes it necessary to reconstruction of present melioration systems. On the background of current climate change, for mitigation and adaptation to the mentioned process, one of the real active measures is to move to manageable water consumption for the purposes of rational use of water resources. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The session is open for discussions now, please. Are there any questions? Okay, if there are no questions, thank you again.
Thank you.
The second speaker is Dr. Seda Özdikmenli. Dr. Seda Özdikmenli is a lecturer in Çanakkale 18 Mart University. Her education, 2008, BS Food Engineering in Çanakkale 18 Mart University, 2011, Master of Science in Food Microbiology from the same university, and from 2012 to the present time, doctoral study PhD on food microbiology in Çanakkale 18 Mart University. She has several articles published on food safety and conserved foods, evaluation of usage of essential oils instead of spices in meatball formulation for controlling Salmonella bacteria. And she has involved in several research projects like agricultural irrigation waters, awareness of milk producers in rural and improving quality control center, inhibitory effects of spices and essential oils on Salmonella pathogens. And she's also been engaged in European Union education research programs. Please.
Thank you. Dear audience, I would like to say thank the all organization committee for this well-organized workshop. I am honored to present my study to these important scientists. My presentation is about farmer hygiene training. As you know, it is the first and one on dairy products. Firstly, I would like to talk about Çanakkale is a city with seaport in Turkey like Istanbul, has land in both Europe and Asia. Also, well known ancient Troy is in this city. This year, 18 March, was the 100th anniversary of the Çanakkale victory. This picture shows Central Campus, our university. Our project was carried out in Yenice, which is 1 kilometer away from downtown of Çanakkale, and it is the second biggest producer of raw milk in Çanakkale. These pictures show the Yenice vocational schools that I currently worked. Yenice is located on the hillside of Ida Mountains. Our farmer hygiene training project was supported by South Marmara Development Agency. Milk and dairy products, due to their composition and properties, are important and essential nutrition source from birth and death. Raw milk can easily be contaminated with chemical, physical, and biological contaminants. Some contamination sources are environmental contaminants, equipment, cow treatment care, skin microflora, human vector cleaning disinfection materials. The microbial properties of raw milk play an important role in the safety and sensory properties of dairy produced. Bacterial contamination can occur from mammary glands, udder skin, milking equipment, litter, bad air quality, and inadequate practice. Other diseases like mastitis can also affect quality of raw milk. Treatment is expensive and time-consuming. Also, raw milk is an important source of pathogens. Nowadays, Campylobacter species, Salmonella species, and very toxic E. coli are the major source of frequent reported contamination cases. Zoonotic milk-borne diseases such as tuberculosis and brucellosis are still a major concern in developing countries. Also, raw milk is an important source, again, pathogens. For the safety measures, we can say first step is hygiene, and second one is the quality control, and the last one on farm health. Milk hygiene is one of the important measures. Complete controls of microorganisms haven't been possible yet. In Turkey, dairy is one of the important sectors for the food economies, and dairy products are regularly consumed. Average size of raw milk farms is relatively low. Dairy farms which have 1 to 10 head is 76% of farms. There are about 2 million and 3 million enterprises at dairy production. The number of these enterprises is decreasing over time because of the raw milk quality, low export rate, and economic reasons. Çanakkale region is an important milk source for big dairy firms. Çanakkale supplied nearly 300,000 tons of milk in 1 year. Moreover, there are many small-scale dairy producers in this region. Ezine cheese is famous in Turkey and can be produced only in Çanakkale. Unfortunately, only 3 producers can export abroad. One of them can export to USA, and the other ones can export to Middle East countries. The main problem is the raw milk quality industry. What did we do? During training, we discussed animal health, barn hygiene, equipment hygiene, personal hygiene, milking hygiene, and storage. 12 trainings were organized. Our team went to 12 different villages. 307 farmers attended the hygiene training. Our stage of project, survey, training, quality control center, building, raw milk sample analysis for the current situation, workshop with industry, government officials, veterinarians, and farmers. Dear participant, I would like to show you a video about stage our presentation, our projects. Sorry. Now we are going on with slide. Also, a survey was applied for 100 different dairy farmers. This survey was determination of the knowledge level, the needs and problems of farmers. In our project, the Quality Control Center was activated. We periodically investigated properties of raw milk. We can analyze freezing point, pH value, SH value, chemical compounds as lipid lactose contents, total aerobic microorganisms, coliforms, E. coli for sustainable safety of dairy sectors of the dairy samples. In addition, we can determine antibiotics resistance profile of microorganisms that causes mast disease. Because of the inadequate or incorrect antibiotic usage, this analysis is very important for animal and human health. In the world, antibiotic-resistant microorganisms are a big hazard for food safety sustainability. According to analysis and survey results, firstly, research should be conducted in the farms. Dairy farms which have 1 to 10 cattle should be collected under one roof. Manure should be removed very fast. Also, manure should be able to transform to energy. Feed production of farmers should be assisted. Quality control should be widespread. Dairy sector should be supported by grants for microbial safety, such as use of antibiotics. Final decision, raw milk should be controlled in regions which have highest level of milk production by quality control centers. In animal treatment, unnecessary use of antibiotics should be prevented by antibiotic sustainability testing. USA, Europe, and other developed countries have mass control center. In Turkey, there is no main center yet. Traceability should be provided with software system in raw milk production for sustainable safety of dairy industry. Thank you for attention.
We thank Dr. Özdikmenli, and the session is open for discussions now. Are there any questions, please?
What does it mean, SH value? SH value.
SH value not about milk, different pH value. Milk, SH will show that the acid rate of milk.
Acid?
You know, not acid.
Türkçesini söyleyeyim.
pH value hocam sütün pH'sı değil, mikroorganizmalardan kaynaklı asitlik oranı. Canlılardan
kaynaklanan asit?
Süt asitliği oranı.
Süt asitliği oranı. Yeah. The microorganism originated kind of acidity.
Acidity.
Microorganism originated acidity.
Not ions. Only not ions.
Not the contained ions. Yeah.
Ions. Okay.
Right. Are there any other questions? Okay, once more. Thank you. Now I wish to invite the third speaker, Dr. Muhammed Abdulhamid Mia, to the stage. His title is Technology Packages for Sustainable Intensification Towards Food Production in Bangladesh. Dr. Muhammed Abdulhamid Mia is a fellow of Bangladesh Academy of Sciences and former executive chairman of Bangladesh Agricultural Research Council. His education in 1969, East Pakistan, now Bangladesh Agricultural University, and in 1976, Imperial College, University of London. Major activities between 1997 and 2001, Director General, Bangladesh Rice Research Institute, formerly Bangladesh Jute Research Institute Director. From 2001, he was the Executive Chairman of Bangladesh Agricultural Research Council. and between 2001 and 2011, licensed scientist for Bangladesh International Rice Research Institute, and from 2012 until this time, member governing board of Bangladesh Agricultural Research Council. He has also an award, Independence Award 2013, the highest civilian award for agricultural research and development. Please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am very much privileged to be here in connection with this deliberation. I must thank Turkish Academy of Sciences and AASSA for inviting me to. I was bored with the very dry science. I like to add a bit of humor. Musical program, and there are a lot of. Now the singing session was not very interesting, so people started leaving. The last speaker was there, and he noticed that then one gentleman is sitting in one corner. He said, "Well, all people have left. Why are you still waiting in the corner?" He said, "Well, I'm waiting for this audio visual." I feel we are here to exchange our ideas, so we feel very happy if our audience is very full. However, I am not going to make you further bored with the agricultural statistics of Bangladesh. Some of the statistical things have already been discussed by Professor Z. Konim prior to these sessions. We are talking about the food security, nutrition security, all these things. Yes, we need this. So far we have listened to the environmental thing, climate and all these things affecting food security. Now I'm not going into any of those issues. Keeping all those problems in mind, I'm going to tell you how to really handle those and how to increase productivity and also increase sustainability. So we need food, there's no doubt about that, and food security can be ensured, as you know, through either local production or through access to food through which you can ensure your security, for which you need cash money. It's not necessary that always you have to have food production in your field. You can produce any crop, sell those, and buy food for that. And Bangladesh, rice is the staple food, and I shall be telling you the problems in different locations where sustainable intensity is feasible. Sustainable intensification is a new term. It has been defined as process or system where agricultural yields are increased without adverse environmental impact and without the conversion of additional non-agricultural land. But the concept does not articulate or privilege any particular vision or method or any particular combination. It is location-specific based on the information available for those sorts of ecosystem. Again, there's a combination of terms of sustainable and intensification. We're trying to grow crops in a sustainable manner. We also do some intensification. But the issue what I am talking about is sustainable intensification. We want intensification, but that has to be sustainable. How that can be done, I shall cite some examples in Bangladesh context where it has been possible to demonstrate those, and also there are some possibilities. In line with those, what I am going to tell is we need desirable outcomes to ensure food and nutrition security, including environmental improvement and cost savings in selected areas. Here, this is the picture of our country. I am actually talking about this area, Khagrasuri, Rangamati, and there is another Bandarban district where people are really tribal and they are really doing some slash and burn sort of agriculture. This is some dry areas, sugarcane areas, and also this is the area where you are growing some silk, mulberry. This is the area where flash flood is there. And this is the area where we have the problem of salinity. Middle part is pretty safe, but still there are some problems of flood and other things. First thing is how we can do what? Borrow rice and other winter crops for sustainable intensification. Borrow is a season in our country for rice from November to April. What people do always, they transplant borrow, it's okay, But prior to boro, in some cases, they grow some short duration local variety of mustard, which is very high yielding. And in doing so, they delay their transplantation. As a result, the yield of boro is reduced. It has been found through research that if the age of seedling is more than 50 days, you lose yield at the rate of 63 kg per hectare per day. So when one mustard is there, that is harvested and then transplanted boro, then automatically the age of seedling is increased and productivity is reduced. How that can be handled? There are some mustard varieties in Bangladesh, Bari Sorisha 14 and 15. These are very high yielding. I am showing you some picture instead of telling all these things. Here, this mustard and rice, boro rice, they were planted on the same day, through direct seeding, straight away. Here, you know, mustard grows faster than rice. By the time mustard is growing, harvested, rice is still there, and it has been recommended for mustard that if you irrigate twice, yield is higher. You can see on the right-hand side, on first picture, very clear. Sorry. On the right-hand side, this is the local variety. It is lodging. There are some rice plant also. Because of lodging, because smothering effect, their growth is affected. Here you can see Bari Sorisha 14, where there is very straight, erect, and high yield. It produces about 2.2 tons per hectare. Here it is hardly 1 ton. So if you can cultivate boro rice and mustard together, then it is sustainable. And in doing so, when they are going for mixed cultivation, we can save the cost of production of boro rice through saving the cost of seedling preparation, puddling the land, uprooting seedling, transplanting seedling. So these 4 costs can be avoided. They're very useful for the farmers. After mustard is harvested, you can see the boro rice on the left-hand side. Here it's growing and it's maturing, then you will harvest it. This is the area where hardly any other crop is suitable because of the early flood. Another issue is boro rice and sugarcane simultaneously in the same field. You may be just a bit surprised. Rice is a water-loving crop. Sugar requires less water. How rice can be grown as companion crop of sugarcane? You see, in most of the rice-growing countries, there is uneconomic water use for rice cultivation. The other day, one speaker was telling for production of 1 kg of rice, they need 5,000 liters of water. In fact, 1 kg of rice needs only 1,200 liters of water, but farmers put 5,000 because they don't know the science. He introduced alternate wetting drying technology for economic use of water. This is the thing. It's a pipe. It can be made of plastic, made of bamboo, made of the water bottle also. Some pores are there. And when you put it here, you simply measure the level of water in the field. When water level is 15 centimeters below the surface, that is the time for irrigation in the boro field. So you save water. Even you can dry, you can walk in the rice field with shoes without any problem. So it's saving water that way. So when you grow sugarcane and rice together, the same thing. There is no scope of water stagnation to damage sugarcane crop. Boro berry harvested in May, after which there is natural precipitation. Thus, a 12-month crop like sugarcane can accommodate a staple food crop rice, which is an evidence of sustainable intensification. As of now, most of the farmers are growing sugarcane as whole crop. And this crop of 12 to 18 months, they can afford to wait for another crop of money or whatever. So if there is any companion crop like this, it is profitable. This is the sugarcane is growing. Rice will be harvested, sugarcane will be there. Then again, in the irrigated boro rice system in Bangladesh, there is a problem of arsenic in some areas. So when you do this AW technology, that arsenic problem can also be mitigated to some extent. Since this is a form of sustainable intensification, I'm not going to detail out the issue of arsenic, but arsenic can be reduced if that technology is there. Because of rotting and drying, arsenite is converted into less harmful arsenate. Moreover, if we do the AW technology, you can see the other advantages here. We can save the cost of preparation and maintenance of seed, labor cost for uprooting, paddling preparation, and labor cost. Also, if we go for AW technology, we can have half a ton extra yield per hectare without any extra input. That's an advantage. So another thing is relay cropping in sugarcane cultivation. Relay means crop is already there, then you put another crop. Sugarcane grows as a sole crop, but there are possibility of growing mustard, mung bean, radish, carrot, coriander, wheat, lentil, etc. Intensity can be ensured if germinated buds of sugarcane are transplanted in the rice rows, in between rows. Then after harvesting almond rice, sugarcane will be there, and in the space vacated by rice, you grow other crops. Just like this. Here you can see, this is the space where you will be transplanting the germinated bud. After harvesting of rice, you can grow any winter crop. I have almost shown some pulses. There are plenty of, I had another 20 slides. I am not going to show that. Just an example that you can intensify your cropping sustainably. Again, if you go for following the technology of putting sugarcane in the rice field, you can see the picture on the left-hand side. Sorry. This is the size of the height of the cane, and this is normal farmers' practice. They plant sugarcane after harvesting almond rice sometime in December or January. So, sustainable intensification will result from growing almond rice, sugarcane, winter crops, and also summer mung, another pulse crop. Another intervention, jute is another crop, and jute and sugar can be a mixed crop in the same field for sustainable intensification. Seeds are sown in the space between sugarcane rows. You know sugarcane is a row crop. After shower in April as broadcast, sow the jute seeds and they'll grow. And because of competition for light, the sugar plants are forced to grow faster than, jute plants growing faster. But because of competition, sugar also grows faster compared to the usual speed. There is hardly any scope for growth of weeds because land is covered. Of course, some fertilizers are added for jute and sugarcane plants, so plants get further benefit from this. So, but retting facility for jute is necessary, so it is not applicable everywhere. But where there is water available for jute retting, it is quite feasible. Hill districts, I have shown you 3 districts. These are very difficult area. There is hardly any road communication for accessing any expert to show or demonstrate anything. They have only slash and burning technology. What they do, they simply do this local technology of putting rice, and they don't take care of any other intercultural operation. So they are really suffering from hardship. So what happened? Bangladesh Agricultural Research Institute, they have a station there. They have really done some intervention in making those areas productive and giving some relief to the people. You see, access to food is necessary. They don't have any money to buy food. So they need some technology so that they can really buy food. This is the name of the station, Khagrasari. So there are some projects through which they really made the land cultivable through storage of water. Water is the problem there. Because of water, they couldn't really do anything in the higher hill. They can really fetch water from downstream. So this research institution created some facilities and also demonstrated the possibility that yes, these areas can be made productive. How? You see, in hilly area, there are a lot of water coming through drain like this. These are all going to the Bay of Bengal. So, water is stored, and that's pumped through this and taken to some other areas. And this is a sort of dam, temporary dam made of earth. There are many small dams also. They store that water, spring water coming, and then from that water they distribute to some other areas through pumps. That's how they could fetch water up to the top of the hills to grow many crops. And it's been found around the house of the people. They can grow any crop, starting from tea, fruit, sugarcane, and whatnot.
Dr. Abdulhamid, time is up.
And these are some of the things. So these are made productive because of water supply. On the basis of identified challenges, a number of development options are identified to be tackled in an integrated development process. I mean, full paper, those are there. Salinity area is another one. There are some combination technologies, salt-tolerant varieties, fish, all they can grow. There is some salt-tolerant cotton also developed. So these are the areas how this can be made cultivable. Sericulture is an area which is really neglected. This is the type how they used to grow mulberry. So intermission was there to clean this space and grow other crops. If the crops are grown, then the leaves are better, bigger, and more nutritious. You see the crops being done, which was not the practice. Now they have started doing this practice in the farmer's field.
Conclusions, please.
So, idea is, I have just stated about the intensification with rice, jute, sugarcane, mulberry, salinity, hilly areas, etc. So technologies are there. If they are put into practice, there can be sustainable intensification of productivity in those areas. So with this, I'd like to thank you very much. Thank you for patient hearing.
Thank you. One or two small questions, please. Are there any questions? Yes, please. Bayan.
Thank you, sir. So you have mentioned in your presentation there sugarcane and rice, if you grown, it will be better, right? So I think it may be due to the allelopathic effect, or is it something else?
You mean jute and sugarcane together?
No, allelopathic effect means the chemical they produce, and that will enhance the growth of other plants.
Well, we have not done any work on allelopathy on the sugarcane. Rather, we put sugarcane and jute together for competition of growth because of sunlight. That's it.
Okay. We do the research work on that also, allelopathic effect. Because some plants, if grown together, there will be more growth, and in some cases the growth will be inhibited by another plant. So that is called allelopathic effect.
Yeah, there are a lot of works done by ERI on allelopathy. So for commercial venture, I don't see there is any commercial entrepreneurship using this allelopathy.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Yes, please, President.
I have one observation and not a question that I find now in our side of Bengal, West Bengal, a lot of people are growing rice, this winter rice, what you called perhaps boro, I didn't hear
Boro
of
rice,
boro.
yeah. Winter rice.
But lot of land, because they now, it's very common, they have two crops of rice. One normal during monsoon period or that period, and the other one in the winter, combining with different kind of crops. So this is quite common in my opinion.
Yeah, you see, earlier we had three rice, Aush, Amon and Boro. Boro is the crop from November to April, it's irrigated. Then comes Aush, which is really the time when there is terrible drought. And that's why the Aush production has been really pushed. Boro has taken over, and Amon, of course, the rain period is there. So two major crops, Boro and Amon are there, but Aush is also there. So there are three rice crops.
Other thing which disturbed me, you said about the arsenic. You can remove from one part and take it to the plant. But finally, somewhere it will go. If it is in edible part, it will still affect the people.
Yeah, it's a question. See, I have done my part. In the rice field, you eliminate arsenic through AWD and also through the culture of mustard. So now you can raise the question, what do you do with the mustard? I don't have the answer. I have quoted the problem, so somebody can think of how to address that. But it is feasible that we can reduce the arsenic load from the soil through these two methods.
Because in Bangladesh, I know in some parts of West Bengal also, arsenic concentrations in pockets are very high.
Pockets, yeah.
And they are very dangerous, actually.
Okay. Thank you. I was going to ask the same question. Perhaps you mentioned it in your abstract, but you could not find time to present arsenic problem, the arsenic mitigation in irrigated rice systems. You wrote in the abstract. Yeah. Do you have a comment on that?
Yeah, well, if you allow me time, 1 minute, I can elaborate on that. I conducted one research project on arsenic mitigation, funded by IFAD, when I was in Erie. What we did, one was this AW technology that reduces arsenic from the soil. If we go for crop rotation, Boro rice followed by any leafy vegetable, then there will arsenic load and those leafy vegetables will uptake arsenic. So if we use AWD, the load will be reduced. Number two is, if the traveling distance of water is longer, then it comes in contact with more oxygen. So arsenite is converted to arsenate, less harmful. So that water is a little safer than the original tubal water. Number three is mustard and water hyacinth. These are very good hyper-accumulating plants. And in my research, I have done this. Stored water in a pond full of water hyacinth for 24 hours. Then deliver it to different places, longer distance, shorter distance, to a field where mustard was there, to a field where mustard was not there. So if we put together, then this storing water in water hyacinth containing pond, increasing traveling distance, cultivation mustard, and alternating drying. All this reduces the water arsenic load from the soil.
Okay. And I wish to introduce the last speaker of this session, University of Paris. He also, as a United Nations University Fellow, got a PhD in food science and technology in 1987 at Laval University of Quebec City of Canada. He is the executive director. He has been executive director between 1997 and 2009 of the African Regional Center for Technology until he retired in October 2009. Dr. Kane has produced 3 theses, 6 collective books, and more than 70 articles or presentations in international scientific journals or events held in several places in Africa, Europe, Latin America, North America, and Asia. He is a founding fellow of the National Academy of Sciences and Techniques of Senegal. Also a member of the New York Academy of Sciences. He is serving in several national and international expert bodies, including UNECA's Science and Technology Advisory Group. He successfully organized many international meetings. Now the stage is yours, please.
Thank you very much.
15 minutes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. First of all, allow me to thank the organizers, TÜBA, AASSA, and IIP, for bringing me here through NASAC, network of... The presentation I wanted to introduce here is on managing science, technology, and innovation to promote Africa's sustainable food security prospects for partnership with other regions. Voilà. We have 5 elements. First, general considerations. The issue of sustainable food security in Africa. Major challenges for food science and technology institutions. Elements of strategy for sustainable food security. First of all, I will Professor Atauraman. I'm happy to see that some Pakistanis are here. That socio-economic development is no longer dependent on natural resources. You have the cases of Japan and European countries, but mostly on knowledge and the main driving force of world economies and the basis of socio-economic development. And industrialization is now the key to high GDP growth, and of course innovations determine progress. We think that knowledge economy is now the world driving force. You can see that first of all we have to have a very good education and research systems, capitalizing from what is available through the world with the globalization, innovation generated by research and development, and then the 3 pillars of knowledge economy, energy, economy, and environment for the sustainable development. But we think that in our particular region, both the dimensions are very important, the social and the cultural one. All this led by a very good education generating knowledge. As you know, Africa is a very wide region, and you see that it can fit USA, Argentina, India, Europe, China. All this, we have a this potential of wide region. Other potentials are many, but I will just quote the use of the people. You can see that more than 45% have less than 14 years. That means it's a young continent. Other agricultural potentials, we have, we have the Mediterranean climate, here south, Sahelian. All these bioclimates, I can say, you can find them in Africa. And we have other potentials to research, etc. That means only that Africa has a lot of potentials. By the way, I can, for those who were asking where is located Senegal, Senegal is just now, with the resources we have, with the human, natural, or immaterial systems, through the technological needs assessment surveys and environmentally sound technologies, through research, we have the innovation process to generate goods and services. Of course, we can have IP assets, intellectual property assets, for the market. And this is our perception of the ASTs, the environmentally sound technologies, in the context of sustainable development. And the issue of sustainable development, first of all, I think is the issue of availability of food. We need to have food in enough quantity, in enough quality, and which will be long-lasting. Also, the access, not only a matter of availability, but also access to have either infrastructure for, to get together the production and consumption zones, to have a purchasing power to bring whatever you want in terms of food, and also a well-balance between urban and rural areas. If you have a country where you have a distortion among the big cities and the rural areas, then problem will rise. So is the need to have a kind of very good balance. Now, the value chain's fundamental performance elements are, you all know that first you have to deal with the water management, to have good quality and quantity water with relevant irrigation systems. The inputs, seeds, fertilizers, pesticides, etc. And of course, good cultural and harvest techniques which will not damage products to end up with a good quality of production. And all these pre-harvest elements have to be taken fully into consideration. but also the operation cycles after harvest, right from the production. Of course, you can have a commercialization, but you can also go through adding value chains, pre-treatments, sorting, packaging, storage, processing, canning, etc., to have a high value added projects to be commercialized through using technologies for the local, regional, or international market. The process is, first of all, of the knowledge management itself with the food production, first of all, to have a generation of this knowledge through research and learning, scientific and technological learning, to acquire and to master the technologies and the knowledge, diffusing and sharing, to have the skilled manpower, and application, utilization, to have employment, to have production of goods and services, all this together ending up with creativity, competitiveness, well-being, lasting happiness of people. Major challenges, because we have also challenges, general challenges is the lack of strong political will, vision, in terms of vision and commitment of leaders, vivacity of micronationalism instead of having regional excellence centers. Each country, whether small or wants to have everything, and the communication barriers, linguistic. We in Senegal, we speak French, and we found sometimes very difficult to communicate with our brothers from other English-speaking countries or Portuguese-speaking countries or whatever. In terms of telecommunication, visa issues, if you want to go to Kenya, for example, it's very difficult to have a Kenyan visa and vice versa. Cost of travel, of course. Lack of cooperation and partnership. That means that Africans are mostly isolated, and it's very fortunate that we can come here and share our experience with the other regions in Asia. And also lack of accurate and updated data on STI indicators. Also, for the higher education and research for food security, we note that there is a relevance in addressing food security needs, the disarticulation with private sector and national STI or socioeconomic development policies, performance, competitiveness, and quality in terms of reactivity, in terms of dynamic efficiency, in terms of creativity and IPR, and the access and equity in terms of students' registration, lecturers, researchers, enrollment, etc., and to have a strategy, legal framework, and a good organization, and of course to have required resources. You know all that Africa is a region which devotes less resources to R&D, for example, you see, only 0.9% compared to even Oceania, which is doing better, compared to other big regions in Asia, in Europe, and in North America. And it's the same, the tendency is always the same. And the result is that it's also the region where we have a very little number of researchers. You see, only 2.3% of the whole researchers in the world. And then other major challenges of higher education and research and institutions, lack of dialogues, synergies, and partnerships. Even in situ, within the same faculty, you don't find good interaction with professors or researchers. And of course, outside, for example, between the university and the private sector outside, contacts are not very well established. Leadership of top managers in terms of involvement of researchers, lecturers, staff, students, etc. Motivation, you know, we have a lot of brain drain. You can find Africans in all the continents, even in Japan, which is very surprising. We went there in 1985 and we found Senegalese Africans working in some Japanese laboratories. Now it has to be converted into brain drain by finding, you know, a way to motivate researchers either to come back or to have specific links with their originating region. And also one of the challenges is how to adapt to the new world emerging technologies. As you know, innovation is going on very, very fastly, so we need to catch up at this good moment. And of course, we have also some psychological barriers in terms of communication among stakeholders. Just to give you an researchers, you see he is a very old man. That shows that young people are not really attracted by research, by scientific research. So those who are in the ground are getting very old, you know, and how to call renouvellement, you know, the replenishment is not coming because young students are not interested mostly in scientific studies. And you have this decision maker, either a politician or business people. He is saying in French, I have the impression that your results will only serve to my successor. You know, he's looking at his watch. He is very in a hurry. He wants immediately to see the results. Whereas in research, you can have research in 5 years' time, or you know, you cannot just do your research and say, here are the results. You know, there is a certain time. So these psychological barriers are also, you know, some of the difficulties we face in Africa. And then that means that the global challenges is not only for training and research, which is the two major mandates of universities, but also the innovation, how to translate those results into goods or services, which made my old professor Amadou Matar Mbow, who was the first African, and I think the only one since then, who headed UNESCO, one of the UN organizations. And he was saying that, therefore, the definition of clear scientific policies geared towards the valorization of the work of Africans, as well as to Africa's research and the improvement of living conditions of its population, is essential. That means there is a need to have a real policy or strategy to address this global issue. And I just put some elements. First of all, needs assessment, inventory of STI potentials, vision and strategic mission for the future, general principles, financing mechanism, which is very, very important, strategic objectives in terms of curricula, research programs, policy instruments, quality, competitiveness, IPR issues, institutional capacity building in terms of laboratories, workshops, lecture rooms, innovation, information, and awareness system to make everybody aware of what will be addressed, what is going on, and what are the objectives, etc. Partnership and cooperation, defining priority sectors and programs, promotion incentives for publication, patents, socioeconomic achievement, etc., evaluation and reorientation by setting new priorities if necessary. This strategy or policy, of course, have players, have actors, which are, first of all, the policy power, the government, policy makers, the R&D community, whether universities or research centers, the production companies, enterprises, and the funding agencies, and of course for the markets and people. And all these five communities, five stakeholders, should have permanent interactions and exchanging information, exchanging, you know, the needs and the possibilities, so that we have a synergy among them. So the elements of partnership, first of all, we need to set priorities in the food sector. Upstream and downstream of primary production, agriculture, with the cereals, pulses, fruits and vegetables, agroforestry with special crops, soil rehabilitation, fisheries, livestock, agro-food industry, etc. And after identifying those priorities, we need to put in place programs, capacity building, R&D, training, innovation, etc., with these food crops, with agro-food industry, with food supply, distribution and commercialization, food science and technology policies, nutrition, food quality, etc. These, they said, are indicated. And of course, this can be achieved through a partnership between North and South, or between South and South. I think here we are mostly among South and South. Between R&D institutions, between companies, and to target as a regional or international market. And then I think that science academies can play a role in facilitating, since they can address, of course, assentee communities, public powers, in terms of making a decision based on scientific background, private sector to use the R&D research achievements, and the civil society to let them be aware of some very important concept, either directly or indirectly through the media, through the journalists, for example. That's why we have a program to train African journalists for them to address not only the politicians, but also the people. So this is what I just captured to introduce to you, Mr. President. Thank you very much. And it's my pleasure to be here, and all the National Academy of Science and Techniques of Senegal are conveying greetings. And I can say even I can convey the African greetings, since I understand that I am the only one African here. Thank you very much.
We can take one small question before. Yes, please.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kani, for the very good presentation. I just want to make a reaction or comment. You know, the Philippines, like many developing countries, has a problem in commercializing technologies. We're very good in science, publications, knowledge, technology, but we have a weak link between universities and the private sector or industry. So I'd like to recommend for future workshops that the AASSA consider commercialization of technologies. And using China as an example, I just read their annual report, and they have a different way. They are very strong in innovation, and we can learn from them. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think, Mr. Chairman, we in Africa, we have a lot to learn from experiences in other developing countries. Of course, we don't only have to learn, you also have something to bring, because it's a partnership and it's an issue of give and take. And I'm sure that I have been sometimes in Pakistan. I have seen there very interesting experiences. And just 2 weeks ago in Dakar, that's why I was not able to be with you since yesterday. IDB, Islamic Development Bank, has an exhibition and a workshop on 3 very relevant successful stories. One in microfinance developed in Sudan, one in floods collective management developed in Bangladesh, and one for roads making, and very cheap and very long-lasting, in Malaysia. So we think that Asians have, some lesson you can learn from them. But from your side also, here in Turkey, for example, we know now that our political relations, we have received the President Erdogan. We see more and more Turkey is coming. I think we need to develop that. And that can be done through our academies, because we are all experienced people, we know many people. So thanks to our academies, I think we can do something.
Thank you. If there are no other comments, please, Begum Sargun.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor, for your presentation. And I would sincerely thank Professor Apak for being the chair of this session. And thank you very much for being part of this important workshop. For a short evaluation, I would like to give the floor to Professor Park, Professor Aras, and Professor Shahin as chairs of the last session for 15 to 20 minutes.